Right guys, that time of the week again, and we are back for our championship score predictions. Got some big matches coming up this weekend, and as always want to get your verdict on them in the comments down below. How do you see all of these games unfolding? Do let me know. And if you're going to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. 300 likes would be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out with the Saturday early kickoff, we're heading to St Andrews for Birmingham up against Millwall, and Birmingham have managed to make St Andrews into a bit of a fortress so far this season, winning both their home matches, both in quite dramatic late style, and wouldn't be surprised if we were in for some more late drama in this game. Don't think there'll be a whole lot in this one. I think the first goal could be quite decisive as well. Millwall obviously got themselves back on track last weekend with that win against Stoke. Much better first half performance and then a second half battle for them to keep hold of those 3 points, but they managed to go ahead and do so. I think that Kevin Nisbet getting off the mark in a Millwall shirt will only be good news for these next upcoming weeks and months. With that being said, I really like what Birmingham have been doing of late, and I think they've got a slight advantage on Millwall at the moment with the overall form book. Score prediction here, just going to edge Birmingham for a 1-0 home victory. Think it'll be tight though. And after that we go to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Southampton. An interesting matchup here. Southampton getting another result at the weekend, 2-1 victory over QPR. Maybe not quite as convincing as a few people thought that would be, but points on the board nonetheless, and Adam Armstrong still producing the goods for Southampton, where they will have quite a bit of movement in that front line between now and the end of the transfer window. From a Sunderland perspective, it is probably in the final third where they need to sharpen up that little bit. It was a goalless draw with Coventry last time, especially with the recent injury to Patrick Roberts. I think that puts more emphasis on Clark being productive over these next few matches. I'm expecting Southampton to dominate the ball here, but Sunderland do have quite a few threats, especially on transitions, that I could see hurting this Southampton side. With all that being said, I think I'm just going to favour Russell Martin's men for a win here and say that Adam Armstrong will pop up with another goal or two in this one. Score prediction, going to go 2-1 Southampton, just to edge it. It's then to Swansea up against Bristol City. Bristol City, I thought we got to see some more encouraging signs from them last time in that game against Hull. Ultimately finished level, but Bristol City definitely created enough to have won that game, and if they take that similar sort of tempo into this one against Swansea, I could see them getting some joy. Swansea, things haven't quite fallen into place for Michael Duff as of yet. Obviously I got to see them up close and personal last weekend as they came to Deepdale, and while there were some signs of encouragement, I thought Patino especially looked really encouraging, and his role in the goal they scored, still not creating that many clear-cut chances, and ultimately still one of those championship sides still searching for that first win of the season. Do I see them getting that in this game? Well, it really depends on which version of Bristol City shows up. Myself, I think I'm sitting on the fence for this game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Next then to Coventry up against Watford. For Watford, it's been a little bit of an up and down start so far. Had that brilliant season opener against QPR, but since that point they have been quite frustrating to watch in the final third. Have failed to score in their last 3 matches. All the games apart from that QPR one that Watford have been involved in have been fairly tight, and I'm expecting another similar game in this one as Ishmael still tries to get his sort of new brand of football across to this Watford group. Speaking of Coventry, they themselves have had a little bit of a stop-start season so far. I think defensively they've looked fairly resolute. It's just been in the final third. They're still bedding in players. I think there's still more to come from Sims and Wright especially, and I'm sure Coventry fans can't wait to get a player like Callum O'Hare back into that side, as he could be the missing link of what they're currently lacking. With that being said, I think I'm just going to favour Coventry with that home advantage, and still a few more question marks over Watford in the final third. Score prediction here, I'm going to go 2-0 Coventry. Back them to get back to winning ways. Next then for Ipswich up against Cardiff. Was a much needed win for Cardiff last time out. Left it late against Sheffield Wednesday, but 3 points on the board nonetheless. I think this will be a tough game for them up against another newly promoted side, but I think that Ipswich have shown themselves to be on a new level to, the other 2 sides that they were promoted along with. This will be an interesting test for Kieran McKenna's side, their first real setback of the season, losing their first game against Leeds last time. But even in that game, despite the fact they shipped 4 goals and there were a couple of individual errors, the overall performance was still fairly promising in terms of the football they were playing, the chances they crafted out. I wouldn't put it past them getting back to winning ways in this game and putting on a real convincing performance. Overall, I've liked the look of Ipswich so far this season. I think they've been been fairly adaptable in each of the matches they've had when playing different oppositions, and I think they'll get past this test that Cardiff will put up here. Score prediction, going to go 2-1 Ipswich in that game. After that, to Ellen Road for Leeds up against Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, now the only side yet to pick up a point in the whole of the EFL, could really do with getting some points on the board in this game. Do I see it happening? I'm not sure. With that new look front four that Daniel Farke's currently got available to him at Leeds United, they looked absolutely ruthless against a really good Ipswich side, and going up against a Wednesday team who hasn't figured out what they want to be under Xisco quite yet, I just get the impression this one could get a little bit messy. Now, it would be absolutely typical Championship for Leeds to put in that sort of performance away at Ipswich, only for Sheffield Wednesday to come and then get a smash and grab 1-0 away victory or something like that. We can never rule out those scenarios in the Championship, but with all that being said, all my logic here is pointing towards a convincing Leeds win. Score prediction, going to go 4-0 Leeds in that game. I think it could get ugly. After that, we go to Leicester up against Hull City. Leicester still managing to maintain their perfect start to this Championship season. The only side who has won all 4 of their opening matches. I wouldn't put it past them making it 5 in a row here. Now, as it goes, I've quite liked the look of Hull so far this season. Thought that maybe they were quite fortunate to get a point against Bristol City in the end. Definitely wasn't their best performance of the season, but still had some good moments going forward. Ozan Tufan with another goal, for example, and there still is a little bit left to be desired about this Leicester squad right now, which I do think some Championship sides will eventually take advantage of. With that being said, Leicester are just doing enough at the moment to grind out these results. They've got an abundance of quality in the final third, and I think that will just about tell in this game. Score prediction there, going to go for another 2-1 Leicester home victory, maybe with a late goal or something. Middlesbrough against QPR will be a really interesting test of character for these two sides, because QPR have been putting in some fairly decent performances but not quite getting the results to come off the back of that, and Middlesbrough, attacking wise, have been putting up some fairly consistent numbers so far this season, but definitely not got the results to back that up, and defensively so have been looking so open and exposed at times as a result of individual errors, teams getting up ahead of steam against them, and to be honest, even with some vulnerabilities that I still see in that QPR side, I can see them getting quite a bit of joy against this Borough back line at the moment. Middlesbrough obviously need to get that first win of the season sooner rather than later. We saw them get off to a slow start that last season, but I don't think many of us expected them to be this slow in getting going this year. Score prediction there, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, I think, between those two sides. Our next matchup in the Championship sees Plymouth going up against Blackburn. Plymouth could certainly do with getting back to winning ways, but it's not going to be easy against this Blackburn side. Thought it was a good away performance from Blackburn last time against Watford, Ryan Hedges being the main man, and Plymouth been quite unlucky to be hit by 2 late sucker punches in their recent 2 defeats against Birmingham and Southampton, albeit 2 sides who have both started the season very well. I don't think there'll be all too much in this game. From a creative aspect, I think that Plymouth have been a really good watch so far this season. Only Norwich, Southampton and Ipswich have accumulated a higher XG in these opening Championship matches than Plymouth have, so perhaps if they were to become a little bit sharper and clinical in the final third, then I think they'll be absolutely fine. Blackburn, I think, will put up a good fight in this game, but Plymouth, I think, maybe have been a bit unlucky to lose these last couple of matches in the manner of which they have. Score prediction here, I think it'll be tight, but why not? I'll just back Plymouth to bounce back to winning ways. Score prediction, going to go 2-1 Plymouth. After that, we go to Rotherham up against Norwich, and you know what? Considering the gap between these two in the league table right now, I actually don't think there'll be a hell of a lot between them in the actual match. Norwich have been really free scoring so far this season, scored more than any other Championship side with 13 goals in their first 4 matches. But how much will that injury to Josh Sargent affect their fluidity within the final third? I think this one will be really quite telling. Obviously, they've got other threats all over the pitch right now. Johnny Rowe, for example, who's been on absolutely sparkling form, and I definitely wouldn't back against him scoring again in this game against Rotherham. But the Millers will bring their own threats into this game. Even the matches that Rotherham have lost so far, other than that game against Stoke, they've been quite tight matches that ultimately they've just been on the other end of in terms of the result. I could see this game being a similar sort of matchup. Interested to see how Norwich cope without Sargent, but I'm still going to back them for all 3 points, I think. Score prediction there, going to go 2-1 Norwich. Stoke up against Preston. I am looking forward to this one this weekend as a Preston fan. Preston going up against Alex Neil, Paul Gallagher, who they've got in the coaching staff, Daniel Johnson, Ben Pearson. It's going to be a big reunion basically for this game against Stoke, but Preston I think will come into this game with a lot of confidence. It was another good win we had last time against Swansea, obviously still unbeaten in our first 4 matches, and while we've not been creating a bucket load of chances in each of our games so far, I think we've been clinical in taking those chances, and some of the new additions into this side I really think have had a great start and have properly hit the ground running. The likes of Will Keane, who I think has been so clever and efficient with his link-up play, Dwayne Holmes, who got off the mark last time, and obviously Mads Frokjar, who continues to impress every time I see him. With that being said, I am expecting a big test here against Stoke, arguably the biggest test we've faced so far this season. Stoke, even in that game they lost against Millwall, I think were decent value for a point with the amount of chances they created in the second half. Alex Neil's going to know all about Preston, as are some of the other players that they've got in that side, and at the end of the day I don't think there'll be a whole lot between us two in this game. Score prediction there, I'm going to sit on the fence and go for a 1-1 draw. And I'm finishing this weekend off with a game at the Hawthorns, and think West Brom will fancy their chances against this Huddersfield side, who have looked a little bit all over the place so far this season. Attacking output hasn't been great by Huddersfield, only hitting the back of the net twice in their opening 4 matches, and they have looked particularly leaky in some of those games as well, particularly last time out as Norwich punished them and put them to the sword, putting 4 goals past them. From a goal scoring aspect, West Brom looked back to their best really against that Middlesbrough side. We're helped by a bit of slack defending at times by Michael Carrick's side, but I think that good momentum can really build on the back of a performance like that, especially when you hit 4 goals and then go straight into another game against a team that is seemingly low on confidence right now. Score prediction here, think I, like a lot of people, will be backing a West Brom home win. Going to go 2-0 West Brom in that game as my prediction. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to get all your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you see all of these games unfolding? As always, make sure to stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content, and I'll see you all in the next one.